still trying to recover from this news. So, last week, the president of Konami, who I'm not even going to name because he doesn't deserve it due to his comments, personally, has said that Konami is going to be focusing pretty much now solely on the mobile market, and that's it. Which, you know, I'll get to my thoughts on mobile tablet gaming soon, because I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think it's a very good thing. My only issue is there needs to be a lot more diversity for a game to work. Some of the best games that are out on there, you know, Candy Crush Saga, even though I don't like it, I have to admit it's making them a lot of money at King. It's not just on tablets. It's a web browser thing. So people can play it on computers, not just mobile. Even indie stuff like Limbo is doing, you know, originally came out for mobile eventually after being on consoles and PC and doing well there. The only example I can think of a mobile game doing all right is Freeze, but the problem is people, I can't remember who the developers were, but somebody created a spin-off / rip-off called 2048, and because that was free, people played that instead on as many different platforms. In fact, I think Freeze is now actually on consoles anyway, so people are playing it on there anyway. So, as you can see, it's not just about one platform. So, and proof it isn't about one platform, I've been looking through the list of games that they've released on every single platform. And amazingly, we're sort of going to go through them. Starting off, ironically, with a Hideo Kojima game in Policenauts, which was originally for PC Engine, but according to this, actually got remade for the 3DO. Yeah, 3DO. I'm bringing that one up. That classic. And then did see a remake as well for the Saturn and the PlayStation, but only in Japan. But apparently there was an unofficial English translation patch released onto the internet. Obviously, Snatcher was another big game from back in the day, which wasn't, which is, you know, still well received and whatever. You know, it even has a sort of cameo appearance in one of the the Raiden mission for Ground Zeroes. Can't remember what it is. It's not Deja Vu. It's the other one. Jamais Vu. That's the one. But then, you know, going to the Amiga, two big franchises here. Some game called Castlevania. And yeah, there's a big point, which is going to be another of the videos that I'm talking about with the whole Kickstarter thing. Castlevania was a brilliant franchise and sort of fell off quite a bit. Probably the last great one was Symphony of the 1997. Fell off for quite a bit. The one that came out for, I think, the PS2, which didn't know whether it wanted to have a subtitle or not, wasn't too bad actually, surprisingly. But then all the other ones were just bad. Hideo Kojima sort of rescued it with Lords of Shadow 1, and when then they didn't let him do it because he was busy on MGS5 for Lords of Shadow 2, and it turned out to be pretty crap. And the fact that Iga himself left, and the fact that other publishers didn't want it and only were willing to put money forward if it was going to make enough money on Kickstarter, and did so in 9 hours. So yeah, And that's the thing. Although it isn't Castlevania in name, the new one on Kickstarter is going to be all but a Castlevania game in name. And sort of like Mighty Number 9. And the thing is, it'll probably do better for them there than it ever would with a Konami game. And then, of course, we get to Contra, because Super Contra did come out for the Amiga. The Contra series, it's a classic arcade game, which, admittedly, did a good port to the NES, good port with Super Contra, Super C, whatever you want to call it. Contra 4 was alright, Contra 3 was a bit, Contra Shattered Soldier was very sort of crazy, not in a good way. And they have always teased some new Contra game. Thankfully, it hasn't happened, because I think if it did happen, it would probably be absolutely atrocious. Frogger, Frogger on the arcade. Frogger was sort of a good franchise. Frogger, I think it was called Frogger Great Escape for the PS2. I have it somewhere. Weirdest game ever. It's sort of like a frog's in love with a princess. You'd have thought is going the whole the lines of, then he'll turn into a human boy. No, it's just sort of, bestiality. Or something. I don't know. Very weird game, and some of the things that happen in it. It's like, Frogger is supposed to be an arcade game where he's trying to cross to get to the lily pads. Not some weird sort of adventure thing. Honestly. Just, it's better that way. Just having a quick look through. Track and Field. Oh, Track and Field. International Track and Field on the PS1. I had a load of fun with. Especially when using the action replay codes and then you were just running like 100 miles an hour. And because the game didn't realise that because you were basically breaking it, the person would go like Man Who's Stare at Goat style and would run through the walls of the stadium and outside the stadium. And then if you put the cheats on as well, you could do a 480 meter javelin throw. It's like, how are they measuring that? It's gone outside the wall. How can they do it? The long jump and the triple jump. When you did it, you actually, if you did it right, you jumped beyond the pit. Because it was that good. Oh, a lot of fun I had with them, but sort of it fell off pretty much after the N64. There was one for, I think, the PS2, but since then you just had the relatively average to poor Olympics games. Athens 04 was not bad, but Beijing 28 and 2008 and London 2012 wasn't brilliant. And there has been athletics ones which have not done too bad. I think there's a one called like Summer Athletics or something. None of these are Konami, of course, because they can't really do a good thing. Blades of Steel, classic ice hockey stuff, arcade stuff, but no, that's too easy. Gradius, great space shooter. Really good. Then Resogun comes along and it's like, we can't do anything like that anymore. They've clearly taken the idea. We can't compete with it. And then you get to the 90s and you get some classics. The Simpsons arcade game. Brilliant. And then you pull it from Xbox Marketplace, so hardly anybody can play it anymore. Unless they get it via an emulator. Which is technically illegal. But considering it's the only way you can play it, unless you're really lucky to have a cabinet somewhere near you, in which case you lucky people. And of course, TMNT Turtles in Time. Considered these to be one of the best beat 'em up sort of games. Not fighting games, beat 'em up games that there is. It's just, it's fun and everything. The X-Men arcade game. Welcome to Die. Need to say more. That line alone is like, yeah, that's fun. Of course, there's less arcade games coming down the line. I guess technically, and yeah, 1998. Wow, that was the very first arcade release for Dance Dance Revolution. You know, Dance Dance Revolution games are still fun. It's just, as soon as we put a camera in vision, there's no need to have a pad to use to smash up. They have to replace after 4 days. No, that'd be too easy. Instead, what you do is you have a camera and you do weird sort of dances that looks like you're jerking people off. Air jerking. You have great ideas, and Konami just goes, people won't want any more of that, despite the fact that, you know, they sort of do. I mean, even looking, still doing Dance Dance Revolution games in the arcade as of last year. But of course, not anymore, and you can't really do mobile Dance Dance Revolution games, which is somewhat of a shame. Of course, another big one, which I notice when we get to the MSX2, is the Metal Gear series, Metal Gear Solid. You know, Metal Gear Solid 5 is still coming out this September, but by the looks of it, it's going to be the last game ever by Konami for a console of a traditional form. I don't know. They deserve it. It's going to be a really good game, and there's going to be a lot of plaudits, and then you're going to have a Metal Gear Solid casino slots game or a match-3 game, and people are going to go, is this what you've done to your franchises? You're just trying to microtransactionize the things and make them into, from, you know, exceptional masterpieces, like practically every single Metal Gear game has been, and somehow turn them to the equivalent of quickbait, I'd say. Quickbait, clickbait, if I can say it properly. Oh, I know. Sometimes I lose faith in the world, probably for a good reason. And of course, don't look at this. Did that actually came to the PC? Wow. I don't remember Metal Gear Solid coming out for the PC over here. Anyway, sorry. Got restricted. Silent Hill, of course. It's just where this all started. When PT happened, and then there were rumours of Kojima and Konami falling out. And then Silent Hills got cancelled, and then PT disappeared. And then got remade in Minecraft. And is arguably not the same experience, but better, because it's not giving any credit to Konami. Probably. The Pro Evolution Soccer series. That game, you know, the ISS Pro Evo games were good. The ISS games, not so much. You know, when they sort of split. But the Pro Evo games, with Seabass in charge, oh my word. Probably Pro Evolution Soccer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Probably all of the numbered ones. 1 to 6 were arguably better than the FIFAs for that year. which is saying something, I would say. They were really good graphically and gameplay. You know, okay, FIFA had the licenses, but in terms of the way the play felt, bar, you know, with personal bias here because I played the hell out of it, FIFA 04, and the whole off-the-ball control they had, which I really thought was a nice little addition, which of course they dropped after 2 years because you got to have more innovation by taking stuff away. Yeah, from like 2008, when they started numbering them to try and be like FIFA, they sort of did drop a bit and go level with them. And the irony being, they now have more licenses than they did at the start, but the game isn't as good as the last ones. Hell, the 2013 or 2014 edition, sorry, could have come out on next-gen consoles, like EA's did, but couldn't because they couldn't get the Fox engine implemented in, despite having the engine for a few years. And the only weather you could play for last gen, I think, was standard sunny, because it couldn't handle any sort of precipitation, be it rain or snow, because that's the engine. Really didn't think that through. The Suikoden series, which I think the first one was on the PS1, but that's been, at the first it wasn't a huge thing, but it gained traction and interest, certainly. Wow, the Saw video game, really? Forgot about that. That was a thing, I guess. See, not everything they did was good. Like the Goonies 2, did that even happen? I can't remember. Castlevania 2. Top Gun, which isn't bad, it's just made to look bad because of Angry Video Game Nerd and things like that. Just looking at some of the old games. Bill Elliott's NASCAR Challenge. Of course, there's quite a lot of games here that never even got released outside Japan. Zombies Ate My Neighbors. What a great game that was. All these franchises that are just gonna get completely turned into mobile games which aren't gonna be that good. Because we know that's going to happen. Because it always does. Trying to look at GameCube. Disney Sports Skateboard? Why do I know? Oh wow, Crash Bandicoot was distributed by Konami for the GameCube. It wasn't for the PS... Why was it that just for the GameCube? That seems odd. That doesn't seem to make sense. Probably for... Oh, there actually was a Contra game in 2009, Contra Rebirth, for the Wii. I think that's why it didn't do that well. Oh, look at all these games on the Wii Virtual Console. Double Dribble! There you go. I completely missed that on my list previously. Yeah, that's damn awesome. Sega Games Rocket Knight Adventures. The reboot actually not being too bad of that when it came out a few years back. Silent Scope. It works in an arcade. Console versions, not so much. Let's be honest. Trying to just see. Keep in mind, again, all these franchises are probably going to get turned into mobile clickbait match-free casino games. More than likely. Rather than fully fledged things you could pay $15-20 for on a virtual console download. No, it's going to be match-free snake symbols in a row. and then you hear Snake going, "Alright." You know, crap like that. That's what will happen. And it's nobody's fault but Konami's. They've seen other publishers like Zynga do well with mobile games, and King and things like that. And they're adamant that taking major console game franchises is going to be enough to actually save them, make them loads and loads of money, and then just, I don't know. But the fact is, yeah, they're only wanting to develop mobile games. It's okay, this has probably been a video full of nothing, but screw it, that's what Konami's going to be in a few years. All these major franchises. I mean, okay, they probably don't have the license issues to TMNT or Simpsons or whatever anymore, but ones that you have in-house. Castlevania. When you look at the franchises, Gradius is considered one of the best space shooters of all time. Castlevania is considered some of the best action platforming sort of stuff. Especially when you get to stuff like Super Castlevania 4 or Symphony of the Night. Metal Gear Solid. Or even, in fact, just Metal Gear 1 and 2. Not so much Snake's Revenge, because, well, that was Konami, it wasn't Kojima. All those games, including the upcoming one, it's probably going to get glowing, recommended, or must-get reviews. If it doesn't, it might reflect what Konami's trying to do. You know, it's the fact that even Konami wanted to split off Ground Zeroes just to get money in early for this thing. That alone was pretty much clickbait, in all essence. It's like, here's $40, play 2 hours of the game, which is going to be in the main game anyway. Can you see why I haven't bothered to get it? Okay, it took till the end of December to actually get on PC, but regardless, if I'm going to be getting the same thing from day one come September, then what's the point? And if I'm not, why did they say that in the first place anyway? It baffles me. You know, your Pro Evolution Soccer, they were up there. They were beating EA, which, you know, some people would say that isn't hard. They're the worst company in the world. Well, FIFA was probably EA's biggest grossing game of their series. And the fact that Konami was beating them is somewhat of a coup, considering what, the Pro Evolution franchise itself only started in 99, 2000. Okay, you had the ISS Pro Evolution games, which is sort of their franchise, but not. So, but even then, that's like 98. Whereas FIFA's been going since 94 on an annual basis on the various consoles for 20 plus years. And Konami's just willing to go. Clearly nobody's buying it. Well, they're probably not buying it because you're not bringing any innovation to the table. You're not bringing anything good. You know, there hasn't been a Silent Hill numbered game since, what, The Room was 2006, so basically 10 years. You know, not if you, obviously if you don't count Silent Hill Homecoming and Act of Sorrows or whatever it was called for the Wii, which was like, even that was 2009 though, 2010, which is 5 years, 5, 6, whatever. Just, I don't even know if it's a message. It's more like a eulogy. You know, it really is getting to a point where Konami wants to focus on gaming, but go to the one platform where really the likelihood is that they could be in even more trouble. It's as I mentioned, they're trying to be Zynga. Zynga has been making constant losses, I think, for the last 2 to 3 years. Because they did Farmville, but then because they flooded the market with so many rip-off versions of their own game, like other Villes, people got sick of it. If Konami tried to do the same thing with every single one of their franchises that they own, people are going to get sick of it. And Konami will not be doing games of any sort anymore. And for a company that has produced fondly loved titles, whether they be good or bad, I'm looking at you, Castlevania 2, Castlevania 64, International League Soccer, which I think was Konami. Which, if it was, it's the worst Konami game possibly ever made. All that stuff, whatever. Think about it. Within the next few years, the company that brought you Castlevania, Metal Gear Solid, Silent Hill, Pro Evolution Soccer, all those classic arcade games, all of them could be gone. Like that. And we're helpless. Because they think they're right. And we know they're wrong.